Okay, thank you very much for having me here. I'm Nanyin. I'm from Texas A&M University. The title of my job market paper is The Unintended Consequences of Patients' Active Participation, Theory and Experiment. This study is supported by a dissertation grant from National Science Foundation. So as we all know, healthcare is a kind of expert service. Patients have to rely on doctors' expertise in diagnosis and treatment recommendations. However, there is still plentiful evidence of patients' non-compliance, which cause a huge amount of waste every year. There are many reasons behind their non-compliance, and one of the main reasons is that they don't agree with their doctor's diagnosis or advice. Nowadays, with the development of internet, patients can search online for medical information and even perform self-diagnosis. This further empowers their active participation in diagnosis. In this process, it remains unclear doctors' perspective of patient participation. It seems like doctors' decisions could be affected. 59% of the doctors, according to a survey, identify patient requests as the main reason behind unnecessary services. More importantly, doctors may not welcome patients' active participation, as shown by this article here, where doctors share their experience about how they get annoyed by patients' participation in decision making. However, due to some challenges in empirical study, now there is still a lack of a direct causal evidence of how patients' active participation changed doctors' efforts in diagnosis. So in my study, I will use a theory-driven lab experiment to study this problem. Here's my research question. How does patients' active participation in diagnosis and treatment selection affect doctors' investment of effort in diagnosis? Does giving an option for patients to go against doctors increase or decrease patients' welfare? My study is related to the literature in expert services. A typical way to discuss patient-doctor relationship is to use an expert-client framing. Here, I would like to highlight that there are already studies discussing clients' personal research and second opinion seeking, and they found that those behaviors do not always improve efficiency. My study is also related to lab experiment in healthcare. Here I give some examples. This is a small but growing body of literature. The advantage of using lab experiment here is that we can test theories and investigate mechanisms without bringing actual risk. So this is typically useful for healthcare. Here's the preview of my paper. Following previous practices, I will use an expert-client framing to study my research question. Specifically, I built an expert-client interaction model where the client is trying to solve an unknown problem. The client has some noisy self-diagnosis, while the expert is choosing investment of efforts in improving the diagnostic precision. I will explain what I mean by diagnostic precision in 2 slides. Then I move to the lab to verify my theoretical predictions. My experiment has the following varying elements. The first is the option for clients to go against the expert. Then I also vary the opportunity for clients to observe the diagnostic precision. Finally, I vary the incentive alignment between experts and clients. Furthermore, I have 2 more exploratory interventions, but I think I don't have time to go over them today. So here are my key findings. I find that experts who prioritize clients' well-being are more likely to underperform if the client is not fully compliant. Also, clients are less likely to solve their problems if they have the option to go against their experts. So now I will introduce my experimental design. Notice that this design is a numerical case from a general framework, but I don't have time to go over the general framework. So after talking about the experimental design, I will discuss the theoretical predictions. So here comes the design. I designed an expert-client game where the client is trying to solve an unknown problem. To simplify my discussion, I assume that there are only 2 problems, problem 0 or 1, and they occur with equal probability. There are 2 treatments, treatment 0 or 1, and they solve each of these 2 problems. The client doesn't know the problem, but I give the client a private signal about the problem. This signal is either 0 or 1, and they correctly identify the problem with probability 0.6. We can consider this private signal as patient self-diagnosis in real life. So they are not experts, but they can search online and perform some self-diagnosis, although those results might not always be correct. In the experiment, I simplify the rule, so the client's only goal is to try to solve the problem. To achieve this, I pay them 120 tokens if they solve the problem, and only 20 tokens if they fail to solve the problem. The client has to consult an expert for a diagnosis and a treatment recommendation. The way that the expert diagnosing the problem is by choosing a diagnostic precision E to generate a diagnostic result as X. This diagnostic precision ranges from 0.5 to 1, and notice that this diagnostic precision is the probability for this diagnostic result to be consistent with the unknown problem. So actually, this expert is choosing the probability to generate a correct diagnostic result. This diagnosis is costly following this cost function. So if the expert wants to achieve a higher diagnostic precision, then the expert has to pay more for it. This is mimicking that in real life. If a doctor wants to be more precise, then the doctor has to exert more effort in the diagnosis. The payoff has 3 parts. The first part is a lump sum. The second part is more important. So this part is the expert's extra earning from solving a problem. This part is controlled by a parameter gamma, and I call this gamma the alignment parameter because it captures the incentive alignment between experts and clients. When gamma is 0, experts earn nothing from solving the problem, so this expert doesn't care about the client. But when gamma is 1, the expert can earn 100 tokens from solving the problem. Then we say that this expert has a strong concern about the client's well-being. The third part of the payoff function is the cost of effort. After diagnosing the problem, the expert needs to provide a treatment recommendation to the client with the following rule. This treatment recommendation T is always consistent with the diagnostic result. Because I want to simplify the discussion, so I do not allow my experts to lie to their clients. So based on this setup, I impose the following 2 treatment conditions. First is an observable precision condition where clients can directly observe the expert's diagnostic precision. This is an ideal case. Then under the concealed precision condition, clients does not observe expert's diagnostic precision. Instead, I ask them to guess the precision, and I incentivize this belief elicitation. Notice that after receiving expert's recommendation, clients may not necessarily take it. So there are 2 types of clients in the game. A passive client always follows the expert, while an active client may go against the expert. This means that I give them an option to be non-compliant and choose the opposite treatment if they like. In both the observable precision and concealed precision conditions, I impose both active and passive clients in the same session. So an expert could be interacting with both types of clients in the same session. So based on all those setups, here is the game procedure. In the first step, the expert will choose the diagnostic precision and perform a diagnosis. Information available for this expert is the client's type being active or passive. Then the active client will determine whether to comply with the expert's recommended treatment. Available information for the client is their own private signal, the expert's treatment recommendation. Also, if it is under the observable precision condition, they will observe the diagnostic precision. In the third step, treatment is realized. Notice that if the client is a passive one, then the second step will be skipped. Once the expert generates a treatment recommendation, this treatment will automatically be realized. Now I will discuss the predictions. I will start with a benchmark case where clients are passive. So if clients are passive, experts have full control of the situation. Whether clients observe the precision doesn't matter. In this case, I predict that the optimal diagnostic precision E is increasing with the alignment parameter gamma. As shown by this figure here, the y-axis is the optimal diagnostic precision and the x-axis is the alignment parameter. So recall that alignment parameter captures the expert's concern about the client's well-being. So when they have a stronger concern, they will choose a higher diagnostic precision. Here I highlight the 4 alignment parameter levels that I induce in the lab. You can see that when the alignment parameter is 0, I predict that expert will choose the lowest precision level, 0.5, which is generating just white noise. But when the alignment parameter is 1, experts will choose precision 1, making sure that the diagnosis is always correct. Then I will talk about the active client case. Recall that clients has a self-diagnosis. Experts also have a diagnosis. These two diagnostic results may not always be consistent, so here comes the first prediction. If there is no information conflict between these two diagnostic results, then the client always follows the expert's treatment recommendation. This prediction is true under both the observable and the concealed precision conditions. So in the next few pages, when I'm discussing the equilibrium, I'm focusing on the case when an information conflict occurs. So let's start with the observable precision condition. In this case, if the client's self-diagnosis is conflicting with the expert's diagnosis, the client's optimal choice is to follow the expert if they see that the precision is higher than 0.6. So recall that 0.6 is the accuracy for the client's self-diagnosis. So intuitively, they will listen to their expert if they see that the expert is more precise than themselves. So now clients can make their own choices. Then the experts are facing a trade-off. They can either choose to do nothing and let the clients do their own job, or they can choose to improve the diagnostic precision and help the client be better off. Then the equilibrium will be like the following, as shown by the figure here. For those experts with an alignment parameter lower than 0.4, they will choose the lowest precision level, while the clients will never follow them. But for those experts with an alignment parameter higher than 0.4, they care about the clients, so they will choose to increase the diagnostic precision, while clients will listen to them. And this goes back to the same outcome as produced by the passive client case. I would like to highlight the 4 alignment parameters that I use in the lab. You can see that for the first two, 0 and 0.2, I predict that experts will not invest anything and clients never follow them. But when the alignment parameter is 0.6 and 1, I predict that experts will increase their diagnostic precision and clients will follow them. And finally, I would like to discuss the concealed precision condition. Now, clients can't see the precision level. So when an information conflict occurs, their optimal choice is to follow the expert if they believe that the precision is higher than 0.6. So intuitively, if I'm the client and I don't agree with my expert, but I still believe that he's more precise than me, then I will still listen to him. Because of this, now the equilibrium is slightly different. There are 2 equilibria coexisting in the concealed precision condition. The first equilibrium can exist for all levels of alignment parameters. In this equilibrium, clients believe that the diagnostic precision is lower than 0.6 and never follow the experts, while the experts are choosing the lowest precision level. The second equilibrium exists only for those experts with an alignment parameter higher than 0.4. In this equilibrium, clients believe that the precision is higher than 0.6 and choose to follow, while experts choose to improve the diagnostic precision. Again, I highlight the 4 alignment parameters that I induced in the lab and would like to draw your attention to the gap here. You can see that compared with the observable precision condition, now under the concealed precision condition, there is one additional equilibrium exists where the precision is the lowest. This means that even for those experts with a strong concern about their clients, it's still likely for them to choose the lowest diagnostic precision. But this is just a theoretical word. How can we verify the existence of this equilibrium in the lab? So there are 2 ways. The first way is to compare the observable and the concealed precision conditions. If this additional equilibrium exists, then we should expect to see a lower diagnostic precision level under the concealed precision condition. The second way to verify this is to look at the passive and active clients. So recall that the dashed line behind is the prediction for the passive clients. So if there exists an additional equilibrium for active clients, then we should also expect that the average diagnostic precision for active clients should be lower compared with passive clients. So to sum up, here are my predictions. First, diagnostic precision should be increasing with the incentive alignment parameter gamma. Diagnostic precision is lower under the concealed precision condition than the observable precision condition. Under the concealed precision condition, experts with higher alignment parameter gamma have higher investment gap between passive and active clients. And I also list some secondary predictions for my active clients. My study repeated these games for 20 rounds with random partner matching and fixed roles. Within each session, clients are randomly assigned to be active or passive, and experts are randomly assigned with different alignment parameter levels. I used a between subject design for the observable precision condition and a concealed precision conditions. Now I will introduce the result. The first thing that I need to check is whether those active clients are actually participating in decision making. So here I show you the proportion of compliance. When there is no information conflict, which means that client's self-diagnosis is consistent with expert's diagnosis, they listen to their expert 91% of the time. But this compliance reduces to 64% of time when an information conflict occurs. So yes, they are participating in decision making and sometimes go against their experts. So now let's look at the experts' behaviors. Here I compare the diagnostic precision between the observable and the concealed precision conditions. We can see that there is no difference in the diagnostic precision between these two conditions. This does not provide support for that additional equilibrium that we just discussed. So does this mean that that additional equilibrium does not exist? So we need to look at the next slide. So in this slide, I am comparing the diagnostic precision between active and passive clients. Those blue bars are for passive clients and red bars are for active clients. You should notice that the structure of these two figures are the same as the figures for the equilibrium characterization. The y-axis is diagnostic precision and the x-axis is the alignment parameter. Now, if we look at the alignment parameter of 1 under the observable precision, there is no difference between the active and passive clients regarding the diagnostic precision. But once we look at the concealed precision condition, we see that there is a gap between the passive and active clients of the diagnostic precision that they received. So this provides supporting evidence for that additional low precision equilibrium that we just discussed under the concealed precision condition. This means that for those experts under the concealed precision condition, they cannot use their high precision to persuade clients to listen to them. And if they really want to solve the problem, then they have a stronger concern about whether clients will listen to them. As a result, compared with those passive clients, they will reduce their investment for those active clients because they want to avoid the risk of wasting energies on them. Finally, I will show you the impact of activeness on the client's problem solving. In this figure, I show the marginal effect of clients' activeness on their own problem solving. Conditional on the observable precision condition, the marginal effect is not significantly different from 0, but under the concealed precision condition, we see a negative marginal effect of clients' activeness on their probability to solve a problem. This means that if we give an option for clients to go against their experts, we are actually reducing their probability of solving their problem. So if we give them some autonomy in this setting, then we're actually making them worse off. To conclude, I examined the interplay between patients' compliance and doctors' performance by using a general framework of expert-client interaction. My findings is that when patients cannot tell the amount of effort that doctors invest in diagnosis, then doctors who prioritize patients' well-being are more likely to reduce their efforts on patients who are not fully compliant. Also, if we give patients an option to freely go against our doctors, we are reducing their probability of solving their health problems. Finally, I would like to also briefly mention my other related work as a pipeline. So as I mentioned earlier, I impose some additional treatments based on the observable condition. The goal is that I would like to give clients some information to learn, to help them learn more about their experts. And the key finding is that both of these two conditions help to improve their welfare. Also, I am now working on an online experiment, which is a simplified version of my current setting among real medical doctors. The goal is to do a robustness check on my key finding among medical doctors. And finally, I'm also working on a field experiment. I'm collaborating with an online consulting platform for an audit study. The goal is that I would like to introduce more noises and also more context in my experiment to further verify how patients' active participation is changing doctors' behaviors. So this is all I have. Thank you.